SuperTalk Mississippi media production.
State Treasurer David McRae has put hundreds of millions back into the hands of Mississippi's citizens, expanding the state's affordable college and career savings program and also returning record amounts of unclaimed money. Check out how Treasurer David McRae's office can help you, your business, or your organization. Treasury.ms.gov.
MidDays with Gerard Gibert is on the air. MidDays with Gerard Gibert is powered by C-Spire. Power your home or business with C-Spire Fiber. To learn more, visit supertalk.fm/C-Spire. C-Spire Fiber powers SuperTalk Mississippi. Get ready to go beyond the headlines and join a meaningful conversation with people from around the state. Hello. You're listening to MidDays with Gerard Gibert here on SuperTalk Mississippi.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Midday SuperTalk Mississippi. I'm your host, Gerard Gibert, on location today at Efficient Power and Light over in Rankin County, Brandon, Mississippi. Rhino, safe and sound in the SuperTalk Mississippi headquarters. We'll be guiding you through the middle of your day with facts, fodder, and fine music on this
Friday, y'all.
What's going on today, Rhino?
Oh, not too terribly much. We have made it to the doorstep of the weekend.
Man, we have. It has been a rather lengthy, it feels like, week, but a lot of stuff going on that we have covered throughout the week. We're excited to be here today to talk to the good folks at Efficient Power and Light, find out what they got going on. You know, when you think about power and how much attention has been made, especially to electricity, with this explosion of data centers in our country, you think about, well, how can smart people solve this demand requirement? It's not just a function of shutting everything down, which is what a lot of people want to do and say, let's quit using all this electricity. That is not a very good idea. The idea is let's put our collective brain power together to address our needs, and we can do that. And that's what we're going to talk to Efficient Power and Light about today. We got quite the lineup in store for you. Garrett Wright, the executive director of Rankin First, is going to join Middays at 10:35. Brent Bailey, he is the vice president of EPL. He's going to join us at 10:50. And then we've got our usual segment with Caleb Sailors. He, of course, a multimedia journalist with SuperTalk Mississippi News. He'll give us a roundup of all the latest headlines from across the great state of Mississippi. Tyson Reno, manager of product and services deployment at Entergy Mississippi, on at 11:35. Chase Wolverton, the president and CEO of Efficient Power and Light, at 11:50. And then we've got the Mississippi Development Authority Executive Director, Bill Cork. He will come over to join us at 12:05, stay on a couple of segments. So we're looking forward to an informative day. We've got lots of news to cover. In the meantime, Dr. Anthony Fauci has been held in contempt. That the ruling by the Senate Homeland Security Committee. We'll see where this goes. A lot of discussion about whether the good doctor could face some penalties up to $100,000 and also jail time. Rhino, did you see the image that's going viral around the internet with Fauci and his wife? He's out taking the trash out, and he looks kind of glum.
Well, there's two images. You have the image of him with the trash can looking like somebody just called him ugly or something, just said a mean word to him, and is just frowny-faced. And then you've got the one where he's riding shotgun with his wife driving, and she's flipping the reporter, taking the picture of the bird.
Oh, boy, they're not too happy about the developments this week in the United States Senate. And, I hope all that fame and enrichment was worth it, because you're getting a lot of attention now, aren't you? Not the kind of attention you want, but you're certainly getting it now. And look, the guy lied. I'm just going to say it again. You can sit here and debate all day long about whether or not what he did was good or bad or indifferent. Sure, you got people on different sides of that debate, that issue. But what you can't deny is that what he said to the public and what he wrote in his diary conflict. And to me, one or the other of those is lying, is all I can say. So that's unacceptable. I mean, it just truly is. It's everything that Americans detest about their government. And he's kind of a poster child for that. In the meantime, the Senate is scheduled to vamoose today and get out of town in Washington, the U.S. Senate, that is. But it doesn't look like that's going to happen. This is scheduled to be the Senate's final day of votes before its 5-week August recess. We'll see if that actually winds up being the case. Republican leaders are trying to plow through a rather lengthy to-do list. They got a Russian sanctions bill, an Iran funding bill, whole bunch of confirmation votes, including that of Todd Blanche, and there's all kinds of news on that this morning. He, the president's pick to be the next attorney general. Recall his original pick, Pam Bondi, no longer our attorney general. That seemed like that was forever ago, Rhino, when that occurred. And she was her position, shall we say, was vacated. But the president also has the priority of passing the Save America Act, and the leader of the Senate, Republican leader John Thune, continues to insist the votes simply aren't there. We can't get that done. And the president, none too happy with Senator Thune, says you guys need to kill the filibuster and push this over the finish line. I'm not actually sure that you could get 50 Republicans to vote for the thing, assuming that Vice President J.D. Vance would cast the tie-breaking vote. Don't forget the balance of power currently sits at 53 Republicans to 47 Democrats. So not sure if you could get the necessary 50 Republicans to sign on to the president's marquee demand to pass this Save America Act. So, and then there's some questions about whether or not Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche can get totally confirmed. Senator Bill Cassidy from Louisiana, he's been pretty quiet throughout this and last week on how he would vote for Blanche, who just barely got through his confirmation vote from the Senate Judiciary Committee. So the pieces are starting to fall in place because Senator Cassidy literally just announced, I will vote for Mr. Blanche. He was emotional. Why would he be emotional about this, Rhino? He said, I'll be criticized for this vote. What's new? But the people of Louisiana can be assured that I worked hard to understand the issue and to make the right decision. So Senator Lisa Murkowski, no shock here, the Republican from Alaska, says she is a nay. She will not vote in favor of the president's selection for Attorney General. So we'll see where all that lands. Not actually sure at this point. Let's see. We got anything on the C-Spire text line? Don't see anything yet. Don't forget it's 601-879-4395. If you'd like to join the conversation. The committee formed in the legislature to study this issue of redistricting is holding a series of hearings across the state of Mississippi. That recently announced. I don't have the list in front of me, Rhino, but it's pretty much throughout the state. I know the one local here in central Mississippi is going to be held in the state capitol. And they're having to say the new capitol because don't forget the old capitol was used in the special session here recently concerning the youth court legislation that was passed. That's because the House side of the Capitol is currently undergoing some remodeling and renovation. And so the House
it looks like it's going to start August 18th at ICC in Tupelo, and then August 27th at Northwest Mississippi Community College in Senatobia, and then in September on the 1st at Delta State in Cleveland, and then September 8th at Alcorn State, September 10th in Meridian. They don't have a venue determined yet. September 17th at Southern Miss, September 22nd at Mississippi Gulf Coast Community College in Gulfport, and then September 24th at the new Capitol.
Okay, so middle of August through almost the end of September, several of these hearings scattered about throughout the state, so everybody has a chance to go and express your public sentiments. That's what this is about. The public attends. The members of the committee from the legislature will be there opening up the floor for questions, discussion, and that will serve as input into this redistricting process.
They're going to be live streamed too.
Okay, I think it's a good idea. We're coming right back. We're at Efficient Power and Light in Rankin County. Stay with us.
Yeah.
Bring it on.
Middays with Gerard Gibert.
It is on.
On SuperTalk, Mississippi.
So the violence in the capital city of Jackson continues. You see this story, Rhino? A woman found dead hanging from a tree in the backyard. 29-year-old Tassia Fortune. Hinds County Coroner Jeremiah Howard confirmed just yesterday the identity of the individual hanging from a tree. Now, I got a bit of a personal connection to this because of the location. This is on the 500 block of Road of Remembrance, which most people don't know probably where that even is, in West Jackson. I used to ride my bike through here all the time. This is where my friends lived growing up. And now this story surfaces that a young lady, 29 years old, hanging in a tree? So you just wonder when there are going to be cries of racism because this is a black female. But this is in an area that is virtually 100% black. And investigators haven't said whether or not foul play is suspected. So, I mean, how does that work? How do you define that, Rhino? If this was a suicide, she hung herself, I guess no foul play. But
well,
if
there would be telltale signs. Like you determine foul play if the victim has, say, skin under their fingernails, like they were clawing at an attacker.
Okay.
Or they have defensive wounds, like, say, if someone is, I know this isn't pertinent to this particular individual, but say if someone is being stabbed and they put their hands up and they have stab wounds in their hands or their forearms,
yeah,
where it would be a defensive posture, then those would be signs of foul play. Whereas, and this may be the case in this individual, it may not be, but if it were a suicide, you would have the telltale signs of the strangulation by hanging, but there wouldn't be any signs of a struggle or signs of being coerced or something like that.
29 years old, hanging in a tree. It really does hurt me when I think about what a great place that was to grow up, to live, just all honestly hard-working, low-income folks, just working-class folks that we all were, all traditional families, raising kids, doing what kids do. Like I said, used to ride my bike over there and play in the yard. This is what we did, right? We didn't have all this electronic entertainment. I know there's people out there listening that are in my age genre as well. And that's just, I just keep thinking about that, just riding my bike through there. I mean, just the idea of seeing a body hanging in a tree is just mind-boggling to me. What the heck is wrong with people, man? And I understand they say that officially the investigation's still ongoing, so I respect the fact that they're not jumping to any conclusions here, unlike the Nolan Wells case where the race pimps come out of the woodwork and immediately point to racism as a factor and have no idea. Can't wait for the investigation. I'm still, I know many people are concerned about somebody acting crazy in the Ocean Springs area. Already you're hearing folks say they're receiving death threats and having to watch their steps and just watch themselves for their safety in public and so forth. But this is just another day, unfortunately, in the city of Jackson. I mean, it's kind of a little version of Chicago, isn't it, Rhino? I mean, we look at Chicago and of course it's renowned from just having a rash of crime, and in particular homicide, murder. Like every weekend, there's shootings, there's murders. It seems to happen more on the weekends than it does during the week. But it's insane what a big problem that is. Yet the stupid people who run the city of Chicago are more worried about DEI and reparations and smearing Donald Trump and blaming rich people and the Republicans for all their woes instead of, no, your problem is you're just immoral. You've got an immoral society on your hands, and I still maintain that's largely driven by promiscuity and the dissolution of the nuclear family. I still believe that. It's just a bunch of kids out on the streets brandishing guns and killing people. It's ridiculous. Now we've got someone hanging in what used to be just a quiet, lower middle class neighborhood, working class neighborhood, hanging in a tree.
I agree that violence is a problem in Jackson, but I would say there are other examples that would be much better examples of violence in Jackson than what very well could be someone having a mental health crisis and committing suicide. I mean, that's violence to yourself, but that's not necessarily an example of the outsized violence of Jackson.
No, I agree, and I certainly didn't mean to jump to any conclusions that there was some foul play here, because that would be a reflection of violence, and that may not be the case here. This may just be a disturbed individual that took their life. I certainly appreciate that, understand that, and based on initial reports that there wasn't any foul play, and you went through a nice summary of what that would look, what the indicators of that would be. Yeah, but it still doesn't excuse the fact that where are we now in Jackson? Like 90 murders or something to date? I mean, I'm not trying to laugh at it. I'm really scoffing at it more that's insane. That's absurd.
I don't think it's quite that high, but I think we are on a run rate of, by the end of the year, it'll be over 100. 100,
right. Yeah, that's what yeah, right. At the halfway point, we're on track for around 100. That's insane for a town that size, I would say. I mean, that's over 8 a month. Think about that. 2 a week. It's crazy.
And in fairness, that's just the known victims. I mean,
well, that's true.
We've had examples in the recent weeks of skeletal remains being found or bodies being found in abandoned buildings and stuff like that.
Well, was it too long ago? Wasn't there one found fairly close to where our headquarters is? Down the street there?
Oh, yeah, in the creek.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Unbelievable. Oh, man. On the C Spire text line, John in Ridgeland says, my parents lived on Mount Vernon, and I lived there in the late 1970s. It was a beautiful area then. I know exactly where it is, John, and you're absolutely right. So you know what I'm talking about. It's just, it's disturbing to see the degradation, the dilapidation of the area. It really is, and I just have such fond memories of it. I think that's what touches me more than anything is what it was and what it is. And I get it. Times change and areas evolve. Some are preserved and remain, and some don't. This is an example where it took a turn for the worse, in my view, through the years, through the decades, and what we have is really just a bad situation now. So on the C Spire text line, someone said it's the rap influence. There's probably a white homeless dude around there that's fixing to get all the blame. Yeah, I hope that's not the case. And I guess the good news is nobody, like I said, nobody's jumping any conclusions at this point. Loss of life is always sad. It should be, and whether it's through suicide or natural causes, or if there is foul play, it's always a terrible thing. So Jerry in Pontotoc says, it's Al Sharpton and Ben Crump and Jackson today raising hell about the woman hanging from a tree. Not just yet. Not sure if they'll show up or not and try to ascribe racism to the issue. Let's hope not, because there's no evidence of that whatsoever. Greg in Newton says a tornado will ruin things also. Yeah, that's true. But I think, Greg, and you know this, in good communities, the residents of those communities typically rebuild even after a tornado. Think about the coast. I mean, I'd say the coast came back bigger and better after Hurricane Katrina. Does the president still offer help like this in Memphis, says Crosby Simmons? You know, I haven't heard much about that, Rhino, when the president, deployed the National Guard into Memphis, and from all accounts, that really did clean up the crime in Memphis considerably. Washington, the city of Washington, D.C. as well, but I haven't heard much from that.
I think they learned that it's a little bit less friction if they limit the amount of public knowledge beforehand.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, that's what they've started doing with a lot of the ICE stuff. They're no longer announcing where they're going with ICE. They just show up. Because they don't want to have to deal with the dozens of protesters traveling across the country in a caravan just to show their rear in public.
Being paid, right, by parties that have an agenda in many cases. Paula Meridian says, until people start turning from thug life and reporting these people that are harming society, nothing will ever get better. I hear you, Paul, and I agree. I'm saying that's got to start with some mentor in a young person's life that gets them on the right path in life. We're coming right back with Garrett Wright, Executive Director of Rankin First. We're at Efficient Power and Light in Brandon, Mississippi.
From the Seabrook.
You're listening to Middays with Gerard here on SuperTalk, Mississippi.
Welcome back, everyone. It's Middays. We are live on location today at Efficient Power and Light in Brandon, Mississippi. We're pleased to welcome now Garrett Wright, Executive Director of Rankin First. Garrett, thanks for coming on. Thanks for being here.
Well, y'all are in our hometown, so I appreciate y'all having me on the show.
All right, so tell the folks what Rankin First does exactly. It's an unusual name, but I like it for its mission.
Well, some people think we're a bank, but we're certainly not.
Exactly.
We are the economic development entity for Rankin County. So we work closely with our Board of Supervisors, our private sector investors, and then all of our cities across Rankin County, and then work closely with our state partners as well. Yeah. I know you have Bill on the show later.
Yep, exactly. Bill Cork, Director of Mississippi Development Authority, worked hand in hand, of course, with local economic development organizations such as Rankin First. You guys have had a pretty good run. Rankin County has seen significant investments flowing into the county here in central Mississippi. From all accounts, it looks like that the economy is thriving in Rankin County.
We're doing really good. It means I get to keep my job for a little bit longer. No, we have had a very good run of big projects and small projects over the last 18 months, year. Everything from the Siemens Energy to International Paper to Avio Digital. We've had Baptist Memorial invest significantly in Encompass Health. I mean, we've had some major investments. Then we've also had some good quality of life investments, some mixed-use developments in Brandon, Flowood, and then several other cities as well.
Have done very well, and of course that seems to be a trend that's been going on for a while, I would say, across the country. But we sort of shifted away from the old big air-conditioned malls to mixed-use developments. That seems to be the preference of consumers and shoppers. And folks like the idea of sort of living, working, shopping, dining, kind of all in the same area.
It's all a quality of life thing. People want to be able to live somewhere and then be able to walk somewhere.
Yeah.
And we're certainly getting more of that in Rankin County, so we're very proud of that.
Really good stuff. Let's talk about this company that we're here with today, Efficient Power and Light, located right here in Brandon in the heart of Rankin County. Power, as you know, it's kind of like the new currency in economic development, isn't it?
It absolutely is. I mean, so often there's a few key drivers on our projects. It's workforce, and now it's become utilities, and really the power being the leader there.
Yeah, so. And you've got to have sufficient power, of course, to attract some of these investments, but it's also got to be affordable, and it's got to be innovative as well. I think just the old approach is not something that a lot of these larger organizations that are looking for a bunch of power are interested in. They're looking for diverse power sources.
They are looking for diverse power sources. They want to know what their makeup is on the grid. They want to know how much renewable versus non-renewables on there. But that's the unique thing about EPL is they're making sure that our residents across Mississippi, across Rankin County, use their power efficiently. It's interesting. Even long before this segment, I actually invited the EPL team to my house personally, and to give me an audit of, hey, what am I doing right and wrong in my house? And because power companies want to sell power, but they want to make sure they sell it properly and we don't waste power.
Well, and there's so many ways to curb your power consumption without conceding any convenience or any quality of life. It's become a highly technical subject these days. That's what these guys do.
They're the experts at it. I just followed their report and made the recommendations, changes in my house. So
unbelievable. So when a company like this decides to locate in Rankin County, I mean, obviously there's the direct economic impact, but there's a lot of indirect economic impact that occurs as well when an organization such as EPL decides to put their home here and make those investments.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. So obviously we always think about the direct jobs that are associated with any project, EPL or big or small, but think about all the gas they buy, the property tax revenues from their personal property taxes from their house, and then all the customers that they come in and out every single day to this office. I mean, we're in a beautiful state-of-the-art facility right here in Brandon, right here in near Flowood, and think about all the customers that come in, the gas they spend, the hotels they spend. There's customers, there's also suppliers that work closely with this company.
You talk about the quality of life, which is certainly critical when these companies are making these investment decisions. But you got it going on here in Rankin County, do you not? When you think about the quality of the schools, quality of health care, quality of the transportation infrastructure, the neighborhoods, the tax burden, all of those kind of add up to a good place to live, work, play, worship, raise a family.
That's a huge reason why I moved back to Mississippi just a year ago from where I was at. And Rankin County has got a lot of that. We've got local leaders at every level that really know what they're doing. And anytime we're working with a project, whether that's big or small, they want to know not only about the site that we're pitching them or the location, they want to know, all right, what about schools? What about neighborhoods? What about quality? What am I going to do on the weekends? And we've got a lot of that.
Yeah, that's a good point. And as you know, economic development is it's a very competitive, fiercely competitive endeavor. And you're often competing with sites throughout the country, sometimes even other areas of the world, of the planet. And, of course, you're trying to make your pitch. And those are the kinds of things that these suitors are looking for.
I think that is there's 3,000 counties in
That's
the
right,
country.
3,100 counties total in the country.
Over 3,000 counties, and there's some version of economic development in every one of those. And most of them are all fighting for new capital investment in their community and jobs. And think about that. We're just Rankin County, great in Mississippi, but we're competing every day with Alabama and Tennessee and Louisiana, and much broader than that. So I think economic development is probably one of the most fiercest competitions that a community can participate in, and not everyone recognizes that.
Yeah, I totally agree. So I've often thought, being involved in economic development in Madison County, what I've seen in my 8 years of just being a board member, it starts at the local level. I mean, it's local economic development that drives these projects and investments. MDA, we got Bill Cork, as you mentioned, coming on later. They're involved as a support organization as much as anything, but it's a partnership, that requires both. But it feels like it really gets its legs at the local level.
It does. I mean, the state's a great partner always, but a community, a company's got to be sold on the community.
Yeah.
And the state comes in. I mean, project leads come from our own organization. They come from the state as well.
Yeah.
But a company's got to be sold on the community. And whether that's an existing company that's already here that needs to expand, or it's a new company exploring, they may be sold on the state, but they still have to find a location they fall in love with.
Yeah, that's a good point. So, and in the world of economic development, such as Rankin First, you guys are also involved, are you not, in acquiring sites, developing sites, getting those sites ready to accommodate investments in new projects?
That's a huge portion of what we do. I mean, in the site selection game, there's all site selection consultants, and we can't pitch them on Rankin County unless we have ready-to-go, shovel-ready industrial sites. So that's a huge portion of what we do. We've had some good success on projects recently in Brandon and in Pearl, but we are actually in an endeavor right now to add new industrial sites across our portfolio in Rankin County. So,
and would you say, Garrett, that if you can't, I mean, if you've got somebody that's interested and you put your name in the hat to compete, if you can't show them a site and someone else in another county in another state can, and they can sort of envision putting a shovel in the ground, getting that project going, you're going to have a hard time securing that project.
They can love your community, they can love Rankin County, but if we don't have a site that meets their needs, they're moving on down the street. At the end of the day, whether it's an existing company or a new company, it's a business decision for them. How quickly can they get their operation stood up and operational?
Yeah. Wouldn't you say that our Governor Tate Reeves, Mississippi Development Authority, they completely understand and appreciate that, and they put policies in place and money behind those policies to help local communities with site development?
They have, and it's not just rhetoric. They have invested year after year, especially during Governor Reeves' term, in site development. I know we have been beneficiaries of that because you can't compete in economic development unless you have ready-to-go sites, shovel-ready sites. So I think the legislature has invested millions of dollars every year, and they just upped that ante this most recent legislative session, making more energy-ready sites.
Did. Yeah. So right with the I can't remember the name of the legislation. It's kind of a catchy name concerning energy, but the governor and the legislature understand, and MDA as well, we got to make sure we got our powerhouse in order in order to attract these projects. Wouldn't you say, Garrett, the last couple of years we've proven that Mississippi can compete with anybody in the country or the world for these major investments? We're punching above our weight here, I feel like.
We are. Obviously, we've seen that most recently on our education stats, and we're certainly seeing that on the amount of jobs that we're getting created in this state. And obviously, jobs are created by small businesses and big businesses, but we're absolutely competing with all of our peers in the Southeast right now. And right now, the Southeast U.S. is really the mecca for economic development.
It sure is. I was reading something about that last night, where about half of the projects that are underway in the country are in this kind of southern corridor.
Everyone wants to be a Southerner right now.
I know,
which
that's
I love.
great, isn't it?
So.
That's good. Appreciate you being with us. Garrett Wright, Executive Director of Rankin First. Thanks, Garrett, for coming on.
Thank you.
Yep. Folks, we're coming right back. We're at Efficient Power and Light in Brandon, Mississippi. Up next is Brent Bailey, the General Manager of Efficient Power and Light. Stay with us.
Now back to Middays with Gerard here on SuperTalk, Mississippi.
Welcome back, everyone. It's Middays. The Element Wealth Studio has been relocated to Brandon, Mississippi today. We're at Efficient Power and Light. We're pleased to welcome now Brent Bailey, the Vice President of Efficient Power and Light. Brent, thanks for coming on.
Man, I appreciate it. Gerard,
you got a big crowd here today, man.
We do. We were very pleased, and they keep coming in the door, and there's the wife just showed up as well. So, yeah, we're very pleased with the turnout we have. We're so excited to be celebrating this special day with you and so many of our vendors, partners, and others. And, want to certainly inform people what we do and how we can help people save money. But before we get to that, one thing I did want to say, and I know a lot of people have been saying it, the relationship that I had the opportunity to develop with Lance Talbert over the time, and I just wanted to express my condolences to the SuperTalk family. Gosh, what a great guy. And after my time at the commission, we retained that relationship and had some fun texts back and forth. Yeah. And always have some comments about guests or things going on and things like that. And he was never short about just out of the blue wishing a happy 4th of July or Merry Christmas, that kind of stuff. So I know it's tough for you guys. He does a great job, did a great job for y'all, and people don't understand the role they play in helping these programs and others succeed. So I just
appreciate
want
you
to
saying
get
that, Brad. Absolutely. We're still heartbroken over it. Yeah, he was an incredibly valuable and talented member of the SuperTalk team. He will certainly be sorely missed big time. All right, so tell the folks, what does Efficient Power and Light do?
Yeah, thank you. So Efficient Power and Light, hey, a lot of things we focus on is energy efficiency for the main part, really helping families, homes, businesses, industries, others understand how they can take control of their energy use. Just to the left of us right here, that's our hub, that's our nerve center. That's where a lot of our calls come in from homeowners and others that want to schedule an energy efficiency upgrade to really implement those practices that help them every day save energy. A lot of the practices we do, let's just say, air conditioning runs wide open all the time. What can we do to help you improve the envelope of your home, improve the efficiencies of the systems, add insulation? That way your HVAC is not working so hard. You can still maintain the indoor comfort of your home, but you're not spending as much money to do that. And we appreciate the utilities and the programs they're providing in their service areas to those customers. And we're one of the biggest, if not the biggest, trade ally to help deliver those programs and services.
Okay. So it's my understanding, Brent, that air conditioning actually accounts for the majority of our electricity use.
Yes, sir,
true?
particularly here in the Deep South.
Yeah, where it's hot.
Absolutely, absolutely, and there are many reasons for that. A lot of our housing stock here in Mississippi tends to be older. We don't have certain statewide standards, and a lot of our residents lives in some type of manufactured housing. Not always the most efficient. So you think about those types of things that go into play in the amount of expenditures out of your monthly or annual household budget that goes to maintaining a healthy, comfortable environment in the indoors. And we want to help identify and implement those ways that are less burdensome to the families.
Okay. So do you often find when you're engaged by your customers, you come in and you find that there are opportunities to improve efficiencies, to reduce the amount of air conditioning without sacrificing comfort?
Absolutely. I mean, the envelope of the home, that's one of the things we address, the air sealing, the ductwork. Unfortunately, most duct systems have a fair amount of leakage that goes into the attic or into your crawl space and not into your living environment. Sure. Again, that's wasted energy. How can we capture more of that and divert it back in through the measures needed to do that?
That makes total sense.
Yep. So that's just a smidgen, a lot of things that we do at EPL.
Okay.
We're really focused on the energy efficiency side, but we also do a lot of work in commercial and industrial.
Okay.
From efficiency operations to systems improvements, pure electrical issues. And then our consulting side, where I work and my team, We work a lot with advising new independent power producers. Generators come into the state to help provide power as we continue to invest and have large loads. Big systems come online attached to the grid. We got to have that power. Utilities are doing their side, but also there's independent producers can also come in there and compete within the energy market.
I understand.
And work with some of our agency partners in supporting programs they have, like Department of Environmental Quality, their pollution prevention program. At EPL, we can provide up to 3 free energy E3 assessments. That's like going into a manufacturer and look at their production systems, how can we create efficiencies in their production line, evaluate their environmental process to ensure compliance with their permitting process, as well as do an energy audit. So we do these comprehensive full-day reviews, and those are some of the things, the tools that we have to help small manufacturers in the state at no cost to them reduce their costs, improve efficiencies, and more importantly, build their bottom line and make it more profitable at the end of the day.
So we got about 30 seconds left. Explain real quick, what is your fee structure? What's your model there?
So our model is so a lot of these programs are cost supported, particularly with our residential.
Okay.
Most of the time it's no cost to the homeowner. It's helping us schedule that coming in. But then in other times, additional products may be adopted that has some cost share opportunities to it.
Okay.
And so it depends on what is it residential or commercial, industrial, and what the program ratio looks like as far as what the obligations are to the end user.
Gotcha.
Many times it's very small.
Gotcha.
And the benefits are tremendous throughout the life
Brent
of the
Bailey,
program.
Vice President of Efficient Power and Light. We're taking a break. Fox News, Super Talk News coming right back at it.
Of Middays with Gerard Gibert is brought to you by the Mississippi Business Journal. Visit msbusinessjournal.com. Scott Coopwood, publisher and president.
Get ready to go beyond the headlines and join a meaningful conversation with people from around the state. You're listening to Middays with Gerard Gibert here on Super Talk, Mississippi.
We back? Welcome back, everyone. It's Middays from Brandon, Mississippi. We're at Efficient Power and Light on this
Friday, y'all.
Had a little disconnect problem. Got it all squared away just in time. Appreciate that. We got Caleb Sailors coming in. He's actually out at SuperTalk headquarters. He's going to call in today at 11:20 and give us a rundown from all the news from across the great state of Mississippi. In the meantime, we were talking earlier about the confirmation of the president's selection for Attorney General, and it looks like maybe there's a bit of a breakthrough. It is thought that his confirmation is salvageable mainly because Bill Cassidy, the senator from Louisiana, who originally was a nay, has said that he will, in fact, support the president's nomination. We got some jobs numbers this morning that we need to pass on to you. So the little bit of surprise there. We lost 23,000 jobs. In the month of July. So America's labor market looked like it was gaining a lot of momentum this spring, but the latest data makes that rebound, I would say, look a little less convincing. But, it's one of those things, Rhino, the good news is, or bad news is good news in that. Okay, jobs, actually, we had a negative number come in as far as job creation. So we lost jobs. We shed jobs. I will point out that to some extent this is good news because the report I saw indicated that we actually shed 53,000. I think I got this right from the BLS, the Bureau of Labor Statistics, which provides a breakdown of jobs data across industry sectors. 53,000. in the federal government. So the government payroll is indeed shrinking, and that's a good thing. The report overall was received by investors as positive with respect to the future decisions by the Fed regarding interest rates. That, of course, when jobs are being shed, that's kind of an indication of the economy weakening a bit, and so the Fed would not want to increase interest rates that would have a negative impact on economic activity. You want folks out there hiring. So the Fed is likely, even the futures markets on the probability, the prospect of the Fed adjusting interest rates is now leaning more towards no change in the next meeting, in the September meeting. So from an interest rate perspective, that's good. And the bond markets have reacted as well with the 10-year Treasury. You know that's tied to your mortgages and long-term financing. It tumbled a bit. It retreated a bit as well today. So it was a bit of a shock, though, because economists were looking for an addition of 80,000 jobs. But what we got was a reduction of 23,000. But here's what's interesting. This is where you just get suspicious a little bit about the numbers. Unemployment fell. So think about that. This is what's so confusing, I think, to all of us, honestly. The average person, except those who are just wonks that are entrenched in this on a daily basis. So you had jobs go down, but unemployment went down. You think it'd be the opposite, right? So unemployment went from 4.3% to 4.1% in July. It was 4.3% in June, 4.1%. That's the lowest jobless rate in a year. But here's the way those numbers are calculated, that the explanation of that needs to be considered. It's because of the number of people who have dropped out of the labor force, meaning they just said, okay, I'm not working and I'm not looking for a job. So if you're not looking for a job and you're not working, you're considered you're not considered, I should say, as a statistic in the count to calculate unemployment. It seems kind of weird, but it's essentially, unless you're working or looking, you're not considered in the calculation of the unemployment rate. So if you just drop out, say, I ain't going to work anymore, and I'm not looking for a job, you're not even considered. And thus the unemployment rate could fall because the denominator in the calculation goes down. The numerator may not have changed, but the denominator went down because fewer people are working or looking for work. Wow. So the number of unemployed people actually fell by 178,000 unemployed people. But the labor force shrank by a larger amount. Thus, we got the 4.1% unemployment. The larger share of prime age Americans, those 25 to 54, working or looking for work in July, and a larger share had jobs. So that's actually a bright spot. The jobs report kind of delivered a double whammy for consumers because you got weak hiring, and that means wages fall and or wages fail, I should say, to keep pace with inflation. So that's the news from the economic front. And here in the state, I think the big news going on, Rhino shared it with us earlier, are these hearings that are scheduled concerning redistricting. About a dozen of them or so, right, Rhino, that get kicked off next week, middle of August, and endure through the month of September, scheduled at various locations throughout the state, being conducted by the legislative committee that was assigned the task by the House and the Senate, the Lieutenant Governor and the Senate, of course, Speaker of the House and the House, to come up with a redistricting plan. And so what they've said is, we're going to hear from the public. We want to hear your thoughts, your ideas, your positions on this issue. And so these these listening sessions, these hearings where you can express your thoughts and your sentiments on redistricting. I applaud the legislature for going to the people. We need to do more of this on complex and often controversial issues, and not just act in a vacuum underneath the dome in the Capitol, but get out where the people are and hear what they have to say. And as far as the people are concerned, if this is a big issue to you, attend these meetings. Do your best. And you pointed out, Rhino, they're live streamed as well. So if you can't get there physically to the location where they're being held, get on the live stream. That's the beauty, of course, of all this technology, and participate in that regard is what would be highly recommended. It's a big issue, and it's this legislature, I think, is going to take it up. There's some predictions, right, Rhino? We may have a special session after the midterms before they gather up for the 2027 legislative session in January. Might have a special session to hammer out a new map. Might not, and extend it into the actual regular session that gets kicked off in January. Not sure at this point.
I think it would come down to how these hearings go. If it turns into a bit of a circus, but they still have the votes, they might do a special session to avoid bringing the circus into the normal legislative session. But if they go relatively smoothly, then it may get pushed back to the regular session.
Okay. Well, that's probably right. And so, but you know what? That's not bad. If you let's say, well, rather than just scheduling something in concrete, let's go out to the public, get their thoughts on this, and gather up their concerns, their desires, and their objectives in redistricting, and let's consume and analyze that before we just jump out and schedule. Nope, this is exactly what we're going to do it. So I think that makes sense. That just based on the feedback and just based on the outcome of those sessions, that likely that will be a factor in the governor's decision as to whether or not to have a special session or just extend it out and delay it out to the actual session. I want to point out one thing. I was talking about the 53,000 government jobs. That's all government. I may have said federal government inadvertently. Whenever you see the government payroll part of the jobs report from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, when it talks about the government sector, the public sector, it's all government jobs. Yeah, they contracted by 53,000 in July, with an increase of 8,000 in June, revised to a loss of 10,000. How could they miss it like that? So they went from in June saying, yeah, we increased 8,000 government jobs, the original report that came out in July, to now saying, no, we actually shed 10,000. We're coming right back with Caleb Sailors from SuperTalk Mississippi News.
You're listening to Middays with Gerard Gibert, here on SuperTalk Mississippi.
Welcome back, everyone. It's Middays from the Element Wealth Studio, which is relocated today to Efficient Power and Light in Brandon, Mississippi. It is our pleasure to welcome now Caleb Sailors, multimedia journalist, SuperTalk Mississippi News.
Well, I know I'm currently in your seat right now, Gerard. Might be a changing of the guard here sitting. I'm kidding.
Oh, man. Well, what's going on there, Caleb? We got some news to talk about. Let's kick it off with a new entrant into the race for governor in Mississippi. That, of course, will be contested in 2027. Tell us about that.
Yeah, the GOP field continues to crowd in Mississippi for the 2027 governor's race. Attorney General Lynn Fitch first announced on Mornings with Richard Cross this week that she is running for governor of the state of Mississippi on the GOP ticket. She now joins Ag Commissioner Andy Gibson and former House Speaker Philip Gunn in seeking the GOP ticket. Now, we did get a statement from Shad White's team on Tuesday that while he's not making an announcement about governor yet, he's deployed overseas in the Middle East, that he's going to get back. He's going to try to help Republicans in the midterms in November. Then after that, he'll have, quote unquote, plenty to say about the governor's election. So that might be him hinting his possible run. We'll see there. But I thought the timing of that was interesting. It was the day that the Attorney General got in the race. I know Andy Gibson also had a statement the day the Attorney General got in the race too, kind of boasting that he's still the most conservative candidate in the race. I know we've talked about that some off air, Gerard. So we see the GOP field kind of coming to form. Lieutenant Governor Delbert Hosemann had an opportunity on Mornings with Richard Cross yesterday to say whether or not he was getting in the race, and he opted not to tell us anything. So our eyes are still on what the lieutenant governor is going to do too. And at this point, who knows what the Democratic Party is going to do? I mean, I have some ideas, Maybe Brandon Presley wants to run it back and try it again. Maybe they'll find somebody else. Maybe if it doesn't work out for Scott Colomb in November, which I know he very well wants to win the Senate seat in November, he might be a possible option too. So we'll see what the Democrats do as well. But right now, the GOP field continues to crowd.
Yeah, it does, and we haven't. You're interesting. We haven't seen any hint from the Democratic side on who they might be considering as candidates for governor, or there's some of the other races, I guess, but doesn't seem like a lot of activity from the Democrats. What's up with that? I know they're really focused on this U.S. Senate race with their candidate Scott Colomb.
Right, and they're all hands on deck with that too. And understandably so. There's some momentum for Scott Colomb. He's raised a lot of money, and the last time Senator Cindy Hyde-Smith faced a formidable Democratic challenger, the race was pretty close. Mike Espy put up a viable fight against her, and they're hoping, the Democrats are hoping that Scott Colomb will do the same exact thing. Now, we really don't know what the Democrats are going to do for governor at this point, but they're going to have to mobilize pretty quickly because primaries are less than a year away now. Yeah, interesting. So we'll just keep an eye on it and see where all that leads us. What else you got going on? We got a Mississippian that might represent the state of Tennessee in the governor's seat, Marsha Blackburn, who secured the GOP primary there yesterday. Look, Marsha Blackburn is the first female U.S. senator in Tennessee. If she wins, she would be the first female governor in Tennessee. But actually, even if she loses, Tennessee will still have its first female governor because I believe it's Jerry Green, who is a Memphis city councilwoman, won the Democratic ticket in Tennessee.
Yeah.
So you have two female candidates going against each other. So some history in the making there in the state of Tennessee. But we know Marsha Blackburn, born and raised in Laurel. She graduated from Mississippi State and then moved to Tennessee and changed her home. But she's been in politics there for a while, serving in the state Senate, then Congress, and the House of Representatives. Now the Senate, where she's in her second term, and goes into the governor's race as the heavy favorite. Gerard, she would also be the oldest governor in Tennessee history, 74 years old.
Really?
Yep.
Marsha Blackburn?
Marsha Blackburn would be the oldest governor in Tennessee history if she got elected. She's 74 years old.
I had no idea. I hadn't really paid attention to her age.
One notable thing about that election, real quick, Gerard, sorry to interrupt you, is that
no problem.
She did not get an endorsement from President Trump on the campaign trail. I know the president was kind of liked one of her challengers, John Rose, so he kind of stayed neutral on this fight. Yeah. John Rose, who's a congressman, who's a Trump-supporting congressman. But the president did quickly endorse Blackburn after she won, though, saying that he's pulling for her to beat the quote-unquote Democrats. And so, the president on his True Social account.
Yeah, that's interesting. So, wow, that's something you pointed out I wasn't aware of. We have a female as the Democrat nominee. Mm-hmm. So we're going to have a female governor, first ever in the state of Tennessee to our north. One way or another.
Right. It's the first time either party has nominated a woman for governor, too. So, there's a lot of firsts in this in Tennessee. But on the GOP side, we got a Mississippian representing the Republican Party there.
Okay. Yeah, that's pretty cool. That's right. She's been here. I've been to fundraisers for her before here in the state of Mississippi. I know she and Governor Phil Bryant are close friends as well. She's spent time here. She's also been in our state helping out Senator Roger Wicker as well with his campaign, and Senator Cindy Hyde-Smith. So interesting that all that's going on. What's the latest on the saga of Nolan Wells? Man, this is really a sad deal. What's going on there?
So, Gerard, we still haven't gotten the autopsy report from the state. We still haven't gotten the toxicology report from the state. Those will be presented to a grand jury in Jackson County. We're not really sure when. The DA hasn't announced when. There have been outlets, I think WLOX is one of them, on the coast that have reported that the investigation has mostly wrapped up and they're getting ready to present everything to a grand jury. We just don't know yet. But we've had some arrests made in this case, not directly linked to Nolan Wells' passing, but to outside influences. We had an individual, Michelle Edwards from Ohio, who's accused of making death threats to the George County Circuit Clerk's office, the Chancery Clerk's office, and also allegedly making bomb threats to the Jackson County Sheriff's Office. We had Joseph Dumars from California, who's accused of sending graphic messages to local judge Ashley Cole, who is the stepmother of one of the young men who is said to have been out on Horn Island with Nolan Wells on the 4th of July. He allegedly threatened a bomb threat to her workplace and threatened to harm members of her family. And then Edward Porter, a man from Illinois, is also alleged to have threatened alleged witnesses in the case, too, and gone after them online. And, this comes after Department of Public Safety Commissioner here in Mississippi, Sean Tyndall, Attorney General Lynn Fitch, and others have said, look, we're going to treat this case seriously. We're going to treat threats made toward law enforcement, threats made toward families, threats made toward witnesses, threats made toward anybody in this investigation, in this case. We're going to take them very seriously. While we trust the Jackson County Sheriff's Office and the FBI and others to thoroughly investigate what happened to Nolan Wells and the circumstances surrounding that day, we're also going to take it very seriously when people connected to this case are threatened as well. And we see that come to fruition. All three of these individuals have been indicted on federal charges and face up to 5 years in prison, hefty fines, and probation, too. So, they're not letting this go lightly.
Well, Caleb, it seems like that the national attention on this situation maybe's cooled down a little bit. Is that kind of your observation?
Yeah, and I think a lot of that has to do with attorney Ben Krupp, who is representing Nolan Wells' family. He's taken on some other high-profile cases, one in Wisconsin, I believe. And so his attention, I'm not saying he's not still giving attention to Nolan Wells because he still posts about it frequently, but I do think he has been put on some other cases, so that's where some of the national notoriety around this case has kind of died down. I think Reverend Al Sharpton hasn't been speaking about it as much either, and so kind of those two were the central figures in a lot of this national spotlight on the case. Now, the case itself is obviously worthy of a national spotlight. It's a tragedy regardless when an 18-year-old dies any way, shape, or form. And, obviously we're all hoping that, the facts come to fruition and we know what exactly happened that day. But, right, I do think the national spotlight is kind of dimmed on this case. It might ramp up again when we see what is presented to the grand jury, when we get the toxicology and autopsy reports. But right now we're kind of still in that limbo waiting period to see what's going to happen. Yeah.
We had Lieutenant Governor Delbert Hoseman was on with Richard Cross on the morning show yesterday. He made a comment. I didn't get a chance to hear the interview, but some folks told me about it, about the possibility of creating boards, dissolving the current central IHL, Institute of Higher Learning Board, and giving each institution its own governing body. You hear that?
Yeah, the Lieutenant Governor had a lot to say about IHL yesterday. He did say he thinks the people that make up the IHL are good people. He was not disparaging toward them individually, but he did kind of allude to his opinion that the body itself is just not working in the interest of colleges and universities in Mississippi, and I think some of that has to do with the way schools are funded, Gerard. There's a contention right now that Ole Miss and Mississippi State are getting the short end of the stick.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. Well, that kind of made news, I thought, because it's been something that's been controversial, talked about a lot. Appreciate you joining us, Caleb. Thanks a lot, man.
Thank you, Gerard.
We're coming right back. We've got the Element Well Studio set up at Efficient Power and Light in Brandon, Mississippi. We're going to be talking to Tyson Reno with Entergy Mississippi. Stay with us.
From the
Digital.com. Days with Gerard Gibert.
Let's do this.
On SuperTalk, Mississippi.
Let's go.
Welcome back, everyone. It's middays. The Element Well Studio, again, relocated to Efficient Power and Light out in Brandon, Mississippi, just across the reservoir for me from Madison County, traveling over the spillway. We're pleased to welcome now Tyson Reno, Manager of Product and Services Deployment at Entergy Mississippi. Tyson, thanks for coming on.
Gerard, man, long-time listener. Excited to be here talking with you today.
Oh, that's fantastic. Appreciate that, and appreciate you tuning in to us. So, Efficient Power and Light, the name itself may be a little misleading. They're not in the Entergy providing business. They're not a competitor to the public utility company of Entergy Mississippi, but they do provide what I think are very valuable services to consumers and businesses alike who are just interested in improving their efficiency in the use of electricity.
Yeah, that they do. It, that Power and Light moniker has been around for quite some time. So when
I was growing up, it was Mississippi
right?
Power and Light,
Yeah,
right? So before we had the Entergy consolidation and combination.
Yeah, it's been used all over the place. And EP&L has been a great partner for us. We've got energy efficiency programs that we have developed within Entergy.
Okay.
Gives us an ability to help work alongside our customers to help reduce energy waste within their homes or their businesses, to make that grid more efficient, make our customers more efficient with that energy usage, and ultimately reduce their bills, which I know is on top mind of a lot of folks today.
Sure, absolutely. So it's amazing how much just technology has evolved in innovation in all means of electricity and energy consumption. I think just on a personal basis, LED lights, for example. I kind of had to get used to sort of the shade of the light that's produced, but I have some cornice lights on the second floor around my house, and when I had the old traditional halogen floodlights, they burn hot and they wear out eventually. And then I had to get an electrician out with a ladder to change a light bulb. But he convinced me several years ago to convert to all LED, just telling an anecdotal story here, and never had to replace one.
Yeah.
Knock on wood. Since I did that. And also draws less power. So
it does.
I get the benefit of not having to buy more light bulbs and pay electricians to come out. Just little things like that.
Absolutely. And that's the cool part about that technology advancement, right? We can continue to get more and more efficient at our energy usage. And you're exactly right. If you remember those 60-watt light bulbs, right? 100-watt light bulbs.
Incandescent light bulbs.
Light bulbs. And if you swap over to these LEDs, these LEDs are 7 watts, 10 watts.
Yeah.
So you're looking at an 80 to 90% reduction in your energy usage just by replacing a light bulb. Now, they're a little more expensive on the front end, but on that back end, you're going to save a lot on that power bill.
Without the heat.
Yeah, without the heat that's added inside your home.
You can touch one when they're burning.
And that comes down, to the other topic you were talking with Brent earlier on, is this air conditioning. Air conditioners are running a lot right now during the summertime. And, a lot of folks may not know, the air conditioning unit inside your home can equate to up to about half of your energy bill during these hot summer months, because it's continuing to run to try to cool off the air inside that home. I think what we see a lot of times getting into some of these older homes is it's got an old HVAC system, old duct work inside that attic, and at times, that duct work can separate, and that duct may be blowing cold air into your attic, and it's not cooling off your home inside, and that's energy waste.
You're cooling
that's
the
energy waste. Yeah.
Where the squirrels are.
Yeah, that's right. No sense in paying for them to be cool in your own home, right?
Yeah. Well, I think I've actually read some data that Tyson that suggested that globally air conditioning accounts for about 70% total energy consumption. It's a big. You said about half in a traditional home,
in a residential home.
Okay.
Yeah, and that 70%. It probably depends on kind of how you slice statistics there, right?
It's still an outsized amount.
Yeah. And it does account for a lot, particularly down here in the South where things tend to get really hot.
Sure.
But we've got a lot of commercial industrial customers too that have different processes, and the way we've designed a lot of our energy efficiency programs, we've designed to help out small businesses, commercial industrial customers, governmental and educational, so for schools as well. And part of that, like I said, is offering these incentives to help bring down the cost of some of this equipment that may be a little bit more expensive because of the technology that's in it, but how do we put it on a similar playing field to just that standard equipment that's out there that's less efficient. And with that, again, we get that opportunity to help our customers reduce that waste and ultimately lower their bills.
Okay. Yeah. So folks are interested in talking to Entergy about perhaps helping them achieve efficiency in their use of power. How do they do that? How do they engage?
That's a great question. So a good way to go find information on these programs, to head out to EnergySolutionsMS.com. Or you can jump on to Google, right, and type in, Entergy Solutions or Energy Efficiency in my state. And we've got a website out there that's got information for residential and business customers who are looking to do this. And within our programs, we've got partnerships with trade allies, local businesses right here in Mississippi, just like EP&L where we're at today. Okay. And we form really good relationships. We communicate with these different teams and businesses on how we want to approach things, how we work with our customers and how we approach that, and then get into these homes or these businesses and find ways to reduce that energy waste, make our customers more efficient.
Describe the process for us, Tyson.
Yeah. So,
how does it work?
For instance, if we take a standard residential customer who's looking to get a little help on that electric bill, they can find our website, and they can schedule an energy audit. And we will send out a technician like EP&L to come inside that home, take a look at how energy is being used inside that home, and then do some direct install of some different measures, pieces of equipment like LED light bulbs.
Sure.
Also take a look at the HVAC system, that ductwork that we've been talking about, and even look for small air cracks around windows and doors, and make sure that gets sealed up too. That way you don't have that all that hot air, coming into your
outside.
house. I remember
the hot air coming inside.
as a kid, I remember, Dad used to holler at us, hey, turn off the lights, close the door. We're not trying to cool off the neighborhood. Well, those, as I'm raising boys, I'm making the same statements to my kids. But those small little cracks around doors and windows, that can actually let in a lot of hot air during the summer, cold air even during the winter. Sometimes if you feel that draft coming through, it's probably something you need to seal up so you can be more energy efficient.
Yeah. So the team at Entergy will help identify those issues potentially, and then make recommendations on how to rectify that?
Yep. So our trade allies that we work with, these local businesses within Mississippi, they've got that expertise to come inside that home.
Such as EP&L?
Such as EP&L, to take a look at the different things that can be done inside that home just to make it a little more efficient. We got a great testimonial earlier here at the ribbon cutting. Gentleman talking about how he's in a home from the 1950s and probably haven't had much work done since the 1950s. And EP&L getting that opportunity to come inside that home, find different ways where energy was being wasted and really help him out. And we're able to use those incentives from Entergy to help cover the cost for that customer. Okay. So we do have a lot of no-cost efficiency measures that customers can take advantage of.
Okay. Yeah, this is awesome.
Yeah.
So is this something available throughout Entergy's Mississippi footprint?
We have energy efficiency programs available for every customer within our service territory. So whether that's residential, living in a home, if you're buying appliances, we've got rebates there. Small businesses, that are looking to maybe save a few dollars on that electric bill, because that's important too.
Yeah.
All the way up to, like I said, our commercial and industrial customers, even governmental, schools and education, all of that. So every customer's got something that they can work with.
Tyson, what about the electrical infrastructure itself, the circuit breakers, the wiring, and all the other components involved in just electrifying a structure? Are there improvements being made in that from an efficiency perspective, and are there some things maybe you guys discover that you recommend that could improve the use of electricity there?
Well, I think the good thing is, whenever it comes to the wiring inside of a home or a business, for the most part, that technology has been figured out.
Yeah.
And that's really good. What's been really cool to see is some of the new connected devices that can be placed, on different wiring or inside electric panels that give you a better idea of what inside a business or a home is actually using electricity. There's some different devices out there that, you can go find and plug in different areas like that, but it'll give you a better sense of, instead of just seeing that bill and everything I consumed, you get a little better idea of what is consuming how much electricity.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And with information, you can make better decisions.
Yeah. And we're talking earlier about just the percentage or the total share that HVAC consumes, and again, trying to button up your house to make sure you're efficiently using that.
Yeah.
There are improvements being made in that infrastructure as well.
Yeah, right? Yeah, you're absolutely right. Again, that advancement of technology, how can we get better at heat exchange, with these air conditioning units? And so there are higher efficiency units. We do have incentives to help you step up to that higher efficiency unit. But also, really, a lot of things come down to maintenance of that HVAC unit. Making sure that it's well maintained. We do have an HVAC tune-up program. It's no cost for a residential customer. They can give us a call. We'll send out someone like UPNL to come take a look and clean it up.
Tyson Reno, Manager of Product and Services Deployment at Entergy Mississippi, has been our guest. Appreciate it, Tyson.
Gerard, thanks very much.
Very good, yeah. Coming right back, we've got the Element Well Studio at Efficient Power and Light. It's Chase Wolverton, the President and CEO of EPL.
Poly up a
Are we going to do this?
Middays with Gerard Gibert.
Keep rolling. 3, 2, 1.
On SuperTalk, Mississippi.
Welcome back, everyone. It's Middays, where we've got the Element Well Studio relocated to Efficient Power and Light in Brandon, Mississippi. We're pleased to welcome now Chase Wolverton, the President and CEO, of Efficient Power and Light, EPL, as it is known. Chase, thanks for coming on.
Thank you, Gerard. Happy to be here and appreciate the opportunity to talk to you. And it's a great day. We've got a lot of folks here and having good conversation, so it's been good.
Absolutely. You got to be pleased with a great turnout.
It has been.
Yeah,
it's been
awesome.
A really good turnout. Yeah.
Beautiful facility you have here to conduct your business. You got a lot of great people that are out here supporting this organization. Excited about you guys being here in Rankin County and in Mississippi in general.
Absolutely. We're happy to be here, and started about 8 years ago, and if you told me 8 years ago where we'd be now, I probably wouldn't believe you, but we're nowhere near where we want to be, so I'm really happy to be here.
Well, that's awesome.
Highlight what we do.
Love it. So I know some of the members of your team, of course, as the CEO, that's critical to essential to the success of an organization. You built a fantastic team.
Well, thank you very much. I've learned in my years in business that you're only as good as the people you surround yourself
100%.
with. 100%.
Yeah. So tell the folks again exactly what your core business is all about.
Absolutely. So we are, I've coined the phrase an energy infrastructure company, and that sounds like big projects, but it's really not. We're energy infrastructure from the energy efficiency side of things. And as you know, in today's day and time, it's as important than ever to try to save on energy for people's monthly expenses and the bottom line. So we specialize in implementing and helping implement programs that support that cause for big utility companies and their implementers.
So one of the things I hear from the utility companies, Haley Versackley, of course, the CEO of Entergy that powers the footprint where we are currently located, is that the cost of the components, the economic model, as you know, of a utility provider is a little different in that it's very capital investment expense intensive. It's more a matter of all of the components and all of that hard infrastructure that they have to purchase and install and then maintain. It is more so than the variable aspect of it, the operating aspect of those companies. But it costs a lot of money to build power plants, substations, and transmission lines and all that stuff. But one of the things he shared is that just like transformers, are up like almost double or something like that since the pandemic. Just a lot of supply chain disruptions that have never really returned to those levels.
Yeah, it's the same as everything else. The cost of things has doubled, and it's no different when it comes to big gear like transformers and power lines and labor and everything else that goes with that. And we see more economic development in the Southeast going on, and it's more important than ever to be able to free up excess generation on the grid, because it's cheaper to help pay for some of the things in your house or in your business to help you be more energy efficient than it is to build a new $2 billion power plant.
Yeah.
So in the end, that formula kind of saves a customer a lot of money.
Okay.
Because if they were building that $2 billion power plant that they could save through energy efficiency, the customer would be paying for it too. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so talk about how a customer can engage with Efficient Power and Light.
Absolutely. You can engage with us in any number of ways. So most of the time we do events and try to get the word out. This is one of those. To tell the public what's available to them from a residential standpoint to a commercial standpoint. We probably offer a service that will help save you money on your power bill. Just give us a call. Tell us what your needs are. Tell us what your facility is. If it's your house, we'll come out and do what we call weatherization on your house, air sealing, duct sealing, tune-ups, thermostats, things like that really are no additional cost to the customer.
Okay.
We come out and do that service, and Energy pays us to do that service. So.
Yeah, that's cool. So, Chase, is it a situation where every time you do an engagement, maybe you learn something, there's a takeaway from it, and then you bring that to bear when you're working with other customers? Is that something that happens?
Absolutely, it is. So we learn new techniques all the time, and we see new things all the time, and we're able to use that in future projects to either help save more money or make something more efficient. We sell an ROI, so everything that we do has a payback.
Yeah.
Even if you're on the commercial side and you're paying us for, say, a lighting project or a new motor or a pump, it's saving you money over what you're already using. So everything that I call us a financial firm, believe it or not, because everything we're doing has a return on its investment.
It's an economic component too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mostly an economic component.
Yep.
So, is it fair to say you're constantly building your expertise, your body of knowledge, and that it serves as kind of your reference, your guide every time you do an engagement?
Absolutely. So our industry is ever changing as technology comes out. We have a really heavy emphasis in training our techs to be able to use the latest techniques in energy efficiency in houses and commercial buildings, and we're constantly doing workforce development our own to teach those people whether it's
awesome.
Proper way to tune up an HVAC system or put in a new lighting system or a new control system. There's always new technology, so we're always learning what's latest in the market.
Makes total sense. Chase Wolverton, the president and CEO of Efficient Power and Light, that's where we are today in Rankin County, has been our guest. You're going to come on in the next hour, I think, and talk to us again.
I think Brent told me that me and him will come up and tag team with you.
Sounds good.
Yes,
looking forward to that. We're taking a break right now. It's top of the hour. That means it's time for Fox News and SuperTalk News. On the other side, it's Bill Cork, the executive director of the Mississippi Development Authority. Stay with us.
And now, another hour of the talk that keeps Mississippi talking. Middays with Gerard Gibert.
Begin your transition now.
Now on SuperTalk Mississippi.
Welcome back, everyone. It is hour 3, the afternoon portion of Middays. We are live at Efficient Power and Light. That's where we've relocated the Element Wealth Studio on this
Friday, y'all.
We are pleased to welcome now Bill Cork. He's the executive director of the Mississippi Development Authority. Bill, good to see you, man. Thanks for coming on.
I'm glad to be here. Good to see you. This is a cool building.
It's really cool.
Congratulations to Chase and the guys at EPNL and all the good work they do. They're doing good by doing right.
That's exactly right. And, of course, it's always so gratifying to see kind of a launch event like this. So many people coming out to support this business organization right here in the heart of central Mississippi and providing a valuable service to Mississippi consumers and Mississippi businesses.
Well, every kilowatt hour that we can save is one we can spend on our growth, and that's happening.
Yeah,
in a big way
time happening.
here.
Yeah. So, you know, you and I have talked about this before, but to a great extent, power has become kind of the new currency in economic development, has it not?
It always has been an absolutely critical element, the availability and the quantity of the power that comes in, and how fast you can get what the companies need. But right now, it is it's the major screening, capacity for any project. Can I get the power, and how fast can I get it?
Yeah, and it really doesn't matter what the particular line of business is. Electricity, power, energy is critical to their operations, and they got to make sure that you can accommodate.
Well, and it's not just power availability, but it's also power quality. And I know that's one of the things that EP&L works on with companies and industries to help them condition the power so they're not blowing up their robots and their computers and everything like that.
Yeah, and as you know, power infrastructure, it's not permanent. I mean, it has to be refreshed and modernized and improved. You don't just make that one-time investment and check that box and call it a day.
That's right. And I did a survey of the power companies in Mississippi. We're served by 4 major power generators: TVA, the cooperative family of local power companies that handle that, and then Entergy and Mississippi Power.
Yeah.
And back in August of 2023, I did a survey of those companies and said, all right, domestically, how much power are we producing and how much power are we consuming? Because I could see back in 2023 that this bow wave was going to hit us. The state of Mississippi was consuming about 6 gigawatts of power.
Okay.
About 85% natural gas and about 10% nuclear, and then the rest was renewables and other things. In the last couple of years, if you've just been following the announcements, we've probably doubled that and announced new power capacity. That is just like unheard of in the history of the United States. I mean, this is a transformational tsunami of electrons that has to come online to serve our future. So it can't be understated what's really happening right now.
Yeah, but it's critical to our economic future. We have to sustain that, and power is critical to that. The good news is we've got some pretty good operators here in the state of Mississippi.
We do.
That provide power.
Very thoughtful companies. They all have their slightly different strategies on how they approach everything. But I think that's good for Mississippi because we get some competition within the state. The power companies don't often like that, but I do, because some other states you might only have one power provider.
Yeah.
And so but here we have some geographic diversity and different power providers. That means we've got a really creative approach to delivering power to our customers here because they're forced to compete.
That's a good point. Hadn't really thought about that. And so with respect to something we talked about on the show a couple of weeks ago, Bill, with respect to the rates that Mississippians pay for power, we're kind of in the middle of the pack among the 50 states, are we not?
That's right. Actually, a little bit below the national average.
Okay, a little below.
And in terms of industrial rates, we're below the national average. I mean, we pitch this in our sales pitches to companies that come here. But this is going to normalize across the nation as all this power improves. I mean, it's a utility. It's a commodity utility, and it's a low margin, high volume business.
That's right.
And so that innovation has got to continue in order to continue to serve the growth and the future of our state. And the companies they really frankly do a pretty good job at it.
They do. I totally agree. And they want to be good citizens. They want to serve the communities, because the one thing that you're going to hear about if things aren't going well, but somebody's going to let you know. Won't they? And nobody wants that.
That's
so
right.
I would have to say that situation, largely through the use of all this advanced technology we now have to monitor the current status of power and all the gear that provides it, it's way better than it used to be.
It is.
I would say.
The Mississippi Development Authority also is home to the state energy office.
Okay.
And we're deploying right now over $105 million of federal funding through the utility companies to do things like grid resiliency and hardening our grid, and cutting back the trees along the power lines so that we don't have the kind of interruption. So this is an ongoing, incredibly expensive effort to maintain the grid, and it's really an all hands on deck approach to make sure the things we take for granted every day when we turn on our lights or operate our cell phones.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all powered by this stuff, and so you'd know it if it wasn't happening well.
Totally right.
Wouldn't turn on.
Well, I think the good news is as well, Bill, would you say that we have a president and an administration with respect to Department of Energy, EPA. They understand we can't survive without fossil fuels, that we have to have fossil fuels for just human existence and flourishing. There was such a lean in the prior administration to try to just really replace all our fossil fuels energy production with green energy. And yeah, there's a place for that, but you can't just flip the switch like that, pun intended.
Right. Well, my boss, the governor, he's very fond of saying the state of Mississippi has an all-the-above energy approach. You can't go from 6 gigawatts to 12 gigawatts in 3 years and start being selective about where those electrons come from. You need everybody helping to provide it. It just turns out, though, that natural gas, which we're about 85% of that in the state, is the most reliable, affordable, dispatchable power solution that we have today. Now, there is a role for everything else, including nuclear and renewables and a variety of other things. And I think we will see a large percentage of our mix shift into these others over time.
Yeah.
But we are very lucky in Mississippi that we've got the most affordable, reliable, and dispatchable power because that's one of the things that's made us so successful both industrially and otherwise technologically in the state.
Yeah, totally agree. And not only is Mississippi absolutely blessed and flushed with abundant natural gas resources, our country is.
We are.
As well. And we're a huge exporter of natural gas because we produce more than we could consume within the country.
That's right.
And so we should leverage that. And the good news is the utility companies have figured out ways to generate power using natural gas as a fuel in a much more efficient and cleaner way than ever before.
That's right. And look, I see it all because every single major grid scale level power that's being generated in the state comes through for approval through my office.
Okay.
So I have a really good window on where the future is, and it is really an all-of-the-above strategy.
Yeah, sure.
We're talking to small modular nuclear. We're talking, the exploiting the Grand Gulf nuclear power plant. We're looking at, we permitted a couple brand new big generators like in Greenville and in Vicksburg for natural gas. We've got solar and wind projects throughout the state. I've approved 2 solar and energy storage battery projects just in the last week. So this is just going to happen, and I think the citizens of Mississippi should be confident that when they want to turn their lights on, they're going to come on.
Yeah.
That's a fact.
Now, I know there have been lots of concerns expressed. You and I have certainly heard that about how the construction of data centers inside the state could drive electric rates up, and that ratepayers will be responsible for covering the cost of these incremental investments to deliver more power for the data centers. Can you talk about that for a second? Because I don't really feel like that's totally accurate.
Well, you know this because we just did a 2 days worth of testimony in front of a legislative committee here a couple of weeks ago, and you can watch 3 hours of it on YouTube videos if you want to. But what I think was most interesting about that entire testimony was that the power companies, Entergy in particular, which is kind of getting savaged over the AWS project, they brought the facts, they brought the data, they showed how over the long term, Mississippi residential ratepayers will actually pay less than they otherwise would have.
Yeah.
These big companies that we're dealing with anyway, have not come in and expressed any both verbal and contractual terms that would have made us responsible for paying their bill. So I don't know how else to say it, but that's just not happening. And I think the evidence is going to be when there is a rate case before the Public Service Commission that asks to raise rates.
Agree.
Then I'm going to be standing in that line asking why.
Yeah, totally agree. And we're up against the break. You're going to hang around with us, but before we go, the legislation itself in 2024 that modified our economic development package for data centers and scaled data centers, it expressly states that you can't pass that on.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep. And if you do, you're violating the law.
Yeah, you're breaking the law.
And you can get all your taxes and all your other incentives revoked.
Makes total sense.
So it's a devil's wish if they try to do that.
Bill Cork, Executive Director of the Mississippi Development Authority, is going to stay with us. We're at Efficient Power and Light in Brandon, Mississippi. Coming right back.
Middays with Gerard Gibert on SuperTalk, Mississippi.
Aruba, Jamaica, ooh, I wanna take you. Bermuda, Bahama, come on, pretty mama. Key Largo, Montego, baby, why don't we go? Jamaica, off the Florida.
Welcome back, everyone. It's Middays from Efficient Power and Light in Brandon, Mississippi. We're visiting with Bill Cork. He's the Executive Director of the Mississippi Development Authority. So, Bill, Mississippi has enjoyed tremendous success in attracting lots of investments into our state. We've seen, honestly, an economic development boom, I think I would term it. It's a team sport. It requires lots of folks working in front and behind the scenes to bring these things to Mississippi and for them to materialize and come to fruition. We have a pretty good team.
We do, and economic development is a team sport, but I also like to say economic development is a ground game.
Yeah.
I mean, it really starts and ends in the local community because that's where the investments wind up.
Absolutely.
And, I know you had Garrett Wright on here earlier today, and I was, a good
ranking first.
Yeah, ranking first. He's just doing a fantastic job here. We've had a wide range of announcements here in Rankin County. But a lot of that started because we started with building that industrial park out and getting the site development prepped, and obviously having a competent counterparty in the local community makes a huge difference. And you saw Siemens, you've seen their national paper, you've seen just all kinds of great new opportunities coming here, and hundreds of really good paying jobs. So and that's happening throughout the state. Over $80 billion in capital investment, over 28,000 jobs. And Gerard, we've announced a couple of projects this week. I've got another announcement coming on Monday, but the challenge that we actually have right now is I have 26 wins that we already know we've won that are waiting to do press releases in sequence.
Oh, my God.
We have never had
26?
There's 26 press releases right now waiting to be announced. The companies are getting mad because it's like we're ready to announce, but we're trying to let everybody have their day in the sun.
Sure.
But there's so much winning that we actually have a backlog of winning. We've never experienced anything like that.
Congratulations, that's awesome. And to everybody involved, and you're so right, to a great extent. Now, sometimes, just so the folks understand, you'll get inquiries into your office, you'll refer them out locally, and then they'll work. Sometimes they go direct to the local economic development authorities, and then they engage with MDA.
Mm-hmm. That's right. I mean, that's the process. You've got a national and global site selection network of mostly consultants. There's probably maybe 100 top of those in the United States. We have great relationships with all of them, and we stay top of mind with them. And when they've got a prospect that may be viable for Mississippi or is in a multi-state competition, they'll usually come through the state.
Yeah.
But each one of these communities also has their own marketing team and relationships, and so they can often bring their own. In fact, probably about a 50-50 mix throughout the state of locally generated versus state-generated leads.
Yeah, they're cold calling as well.
Sure, yeah. They're out there going to conferences.
That's what they get paid to do.
That's right.
I feel like, Bill, that Mississippi is being held in a different light. That maybe not so long ago we weren't really considered a serious contender for lots of these major projects. Not only are we considered a serious contender, we're a preferred provider, preferred site.
There is absolutely no doubt about it that in the last 6 years, the reputation of Mississippi as an economic development destination has been transformed. People are no longer coming to us with the usual questions about our historical social issues or, do you have educational attainment? Those questions it's mostly how fast can I get here and how fast can I get in the ground?
Yeah.
And that's just a really, really great place to be.
Yeah. And I know you've witnessed it, folks that have never been here that are interested and they come here. They're blown away.
Well, we've always been telling people forever here that if you come and visit Mississippi once, you fall in love.
Yeah.
And that happened to my wife and I. That's how I ended up here. But the long story short is that is true. And it doesn't matter whether it's an international CEO, family-owned business, like they announced a cookie factory from Germany up in Gluckstadt the other day, or whether it's Liebherr, one of the mega companies out of Germany that's building its massive distribution center in Tupelo. these folks, once they hit the ground and they look around, they're like, wow, this looks a lot like a place we'd like to be.
Yeah.
It's really neat.
It's changed considerably. So I think the good news is we don't have to invest a lot of cycles and a lot of time trying to address and respond to some of those old misconceptions, and we could focus on doing business, which is what they want to do.
Which is what they want to do. And, my message is to all those folks that are going to be running for election coming up in the next election cycle, and I'm going to start saying this every time I have a chance, watch what you say. Because one of the things these folks do is they research us now before they come here.
Yeah.
They're checking the social media. They're understanding the politics. All that's now happening way before they even call. And so we have an opportunity to either talk this state up or talk this state down. And so any one of you who's listening out there thinking about being the next governor, lieutenant governor, or anywhere in between, watch what you say, because we're building on a legacy of success. And we can have those fights in the back room, but let's not take them out in front where everybody can see them.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. Something else just related to the data center explosion in the state, as it's expressed as an objection or a complaint, is that these big buildings don't really employ a lot of people. To some extent, that's true relative to the size of the actual building itself. But I think what gets overlooked and discounted, Bill, is all the outgrowth and the related job creation. Like, for example, the factory that was just announced that's locating in Marshall County that not sure would have come were it not for the
Jabil.
Yeah, Jabil. Yeah.
2,000 jobs. Look, I don't know who made these rules up about how many jobs you had to have in a building.
Per square foot or something.
This is an interesting argument. I've been in economic development for almost 40 years, and no one came up with this until like last week, that all of a sudden that certain jobs are just not as good as other jobs.
Exactly.
But look, AWS has committed in writing to 2,000 jobs. When was the last time?
2,000.
2,000 jobs.
It's well above the household income.
Well above the household income. And then you're talking about, of course, the indirect and induced effects and all the spin-off jobs and everything, which aren't even counted here. But I just asked the question, first and foremost, is, who gets to decide what a good job is and how many there should be per square foot? I can take you to sites all over the state of Mississippi that are covering 1,000 acres that only have 1,000 jobs. AWS is covering 1,000 acres in Madison County and promising over 1,250 direct jobs, not including induced jobs. So I'm not sure when we decided that there was a new metric, but let's at least think about that before we just spout it off.
My understanding is already AWS has 700.
Right, and I think 60 to 70%, according to their HR department, are local hires.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so I mean, what can you expect on a massive ramp-up?
I know you've had the same discussions with them. They want to hire locally. I mean, they tell you that. It's not like, we're going to come in here and we're looking to bring people in. Though, look, we welcome new citizens into our state as well. But if we have people that are here that can improve their personal job, their occupation condition, or maybe they're between jobs, or who knows what the circumstances are. Sure, we want to put them to work, and that's a good thing, and that's happening.
Yeah.
Big time.
And, I just ask a lot of the critics on the jobs per building or whatever. It's like, how many jobs have you created this year? It's not as easy as it looks.
Good point. Yeah, no, I can't see anything but positive benefit and outcome from these investments, and I think we should be pleased that we made the cut and ultimately brought these deals here. And I always thought, Bill, and I get your thoughts on this, when Amazon made that decision, that was pivotal. You knew there would be more after that. You absolutely knew.
And I said, at the time, and I think I even said it in front of the legislature, that the reason we did a special session for AWS is because we knew this was going to break the seal on not only the scale of economic development we could do, but is going to change people's minds about Mississippi. Because if a global company like AWS chooses to make a multi-billion-dollar, tens of billion-dollar decision here, the phone's going to ring. And I'm telling you, the day after the announcement, it rang off the hook.
100%.
And so it worked.
Yeah.
And it's working.
No, that was great observation and good of you to share that, because But it's just common sense. I mean, you knew that. When you got a major global company like that says, okay, Mississippi's good enough for us, then others are going to fall in line because essentially they've already done all the due diligence for them. Is the way it works out.
That's exactly right. And if it's good enough, it's sort of like having a CVS and a Walgreens on opposite corners, or having Burger King next to McDonald's. It's once one of these big guys decides that everybody looks and says, why there? That's got to be a good reason.
They didn't get to where they were by making bad decisions like that. They made a good decision. And their feedback so far, what have you heard about their experience here in the state of Mississippi?
Everybody's really delighted. If everything's either ahead of schedule or going according to plan. The feedback we get is that the state has done everything that we said we would do.
Yeah.
And so far the companies are doing everything they said they would do.
Yep.
And if they don't, we'll hold them accountable. And if we don't, they'll hold us accountable. And that's the way a good business climate operates.
Yeah, and the good news here before we go is that these projects don't involve lots of just unencumbered grants. We're not just writing checks to these people to bring them here. And
none of the data centers got any cash directly except for AWS, and it was a 50-50 matching grant to build a $32 million workforce training center.
Yes, and
it's for us.
And that's an asset that doesn't go away.
Doesn't go away.
Yeah, so appreciate it, Bill. Thanks
You're
for coming
welcome,
on.
John.
Bill Court, Executive Director of the Mississippi Development Authority, has been our guest. We're taking a break right now. We've got David Sparks. He is with TVA, the Energy Utilization and Marketing Manager. Coming right back.
From the sea. And now, the talk that keeps Mississippi talking.
Now, on to the real part.
Dynamite! On SuperTalk, Mississippi.
It's midnight Cinderella, but don't you worry none. 'Cause I'm Peter, the pumpkin heater, and the party has just begun. Yes,
welcome back, everyone. It's Middays from the Element Wealth Studio, which has been relocated to Efficient Power and Light today in Brandon, Mississippi. It's our pleasure to welcome now David Sparks. He is the Senior Sales Consultant, Energy Utilization with TVA. Did I get all that right?
Close enough.
Close enough. All right. So appreciate you coming on, David, and glad you were able to join us here on the set today. So this group here, Efficient Power and Light, involved, of course, in assisting consumers, both residential and commercial consumers, achieve energy efficiency and just to get more bang for their buck from their power bills. Tell us about that.
No, that's a good thing. I think you probably heard it today. One of the beautiful things about being in the utility industry is I think most utility companies really care about their customers. And, I know our local power companies in Northeast Mississippi really are committed to public service and keeping bills affordable, right? Keeping rates low, helping people keep more of their money is the place you need to start. It's not just the right thing to do, but for us at TVA, it makes good sense.
Yeah. So I can't imagine why any provider of electricity, utility provider such as TVA, wouldn't have an interest in achieving efficiencies there.
That's right. And it's more than just about efficiencies. If you think about the cheapest energy out there is the energy you don't have to produce, the energy people don't have to buy, the energy you don't have to sell. So energy efficiency does a couple of great things. One, it helps the homeowner make more of their money, right? The budget goes further. That's simple. But for us, we can keep rates lower. It's a low-cost resource, and it's actually part of our integrated resource plan that we announced later this year. We have been doing energy efficiency for decades, but doing it helps economic development. It helps the state grow. It helps keep profits maintainable, rates maintainable, and it makes me happy to be able to do something that's good for people.
Yeah.
Outside of just producing power and they pay a bill. Now they have a voice in that decision of how much energy they use and how they use it.
Yeah. So what's the trend? Where do you see it going, David? I mean, because what we're hearing from the utility companies is that they're constantly having to modernize, of course, their infrastructure, and when they do that, the replacement of the old infrastructure and hardware and components that they're retiring and replacing with new comes at a higher cost.
It's like everything in the economy today. It seems like everything is more expensive, and it's when I grew up, you always made do with what you had. Well, it's hard to do that when you have an old air conditioner, an old unit, or lights that are old because they use so much energy. Investing in those new energy efficiency saving lights or pumps, motors, fans, HVAC, they can pay for themselves in a couple of years. And for us to put incentives behind those, not only for residential customers, businesses, industries, we can incentivize those opportunities and get that return on investment down and make it even more affordable. That makes the business more affordable. They can hire more people. It goes back into what we talked about, that life cycle of a good, strong economy. But yeah, everything's more expensive and harder to get, and it takes longer to get it.
Yeah, I've heard reference to transformers in particular and how the cost has really spiked considerably since the pre-pandemic era.
Right. Not only from the supply standpoint, but the economy is growing, which is a great thing.
Yeah.
We're very thankful for that. But when the economy grows and you have to produce more and make more of what you already have, it can be a real challenge. We are fortunate. We have 28 local power companies in North Mississippi who in turn sell energy to their customers, and they do a great job maintaining those costs, keeping adequate supplies of additional materials. But it can get tight, and then you put in the growth, and you put in the data centers, and you put in the expanded large industrial customers and business customers, and homes are going up in certain parts of the state rapidly. There's a demand for all the raw materials, and if we can keep rates maintainably low, affordable, it makes a huge difference.
Yeah. And I think from a commercial perspective, when you can help these companies be more efficient in their use of electricity, it typically doesn't mean they use less. They just are able to power more and electrify more and produce more as a company.
That's right.
For the same cost.
We joke some of our customers are judged on the cost of a unit going out the back door. Whether you're making tires or you're making equipment or materials, if you can get that cost of a unit going out the back door low, then your company will give more cost and investments in that plant. You can grow, and that's what we're trying to do. And I would suggest everybody go to energyright.com. That's our webpage. Look at our offerings, residential, business, industry. I keep referencing the 28 local power companies. Yeah. They all offer these programs, which is great. So they're open to consumers. We just want people to realize, whether it's Energy, Mississippi Power, TVA, we all have opportunities. Work with your local power company. Find out what those opportunities are. And then, to your point, you have information and you can make the best decision for your home, your business. There is no one size fits all. But whether it's HVAC improvement at home or lights in a business or motors, pumps, there are opportunities to be more efficient and do a better job, and we can support that, and that's what we're here for.
Yeah, makes total sense. All right, so talk about the TVA footprint in the state of Mississippi.
The easiest way to explain it is there is no real geographic lines. These lines were drawn in the 1930s and 40s, so other side of the street can be a different supplier. But if you think about Mississippi and you take I-55 that runs north to south, come out of Memphis, somewhat follow I-55 to Jackson, take a hard east turn toward Meridian, that third of the state is 90% TVA.
On the east side.
On the east side. So Carthage up through Kosciuszko, through Columbus, Louisville, Starkville, Houston, Mississippi, Olive Branch, Batesville, Oxford, Corinth, that whole area, Starkville, Mississippi State. Those are all our end-use customers who we sell power to, like a Starkville Utilities, Tupelo Water and Light, and then they in turn sell it to the consumers in that market.
Okay.
We do have some direct serve customers in North Mississippi, but we have 28 LPCs and 6 direct serves.
Okay. So Mississippi, some states, my understanding is you'll have one electricity provider that covers the entire state. Mississippi's is diverse. We have 4 when you count the electric co-ops.
Right. We have 4. Tennessee is 99% TVA, which makes sense.
Yeah.
Not only do we sell electricity, we manage the Tennessee River system.
Right.
And that was the offset of how we got the dams and got the power. But Mississippi is unique, and that's a good thing to have different suppliers. We work well together and coordinate well together, work well with the state of Mississippi. A lot of exciting things coming in Mississippi we all want to be a part of. So I think it's an advantage to have different suppliers because you don't have just one company doing everything.
Yeah, makes sense. So, David, can you talk about the TVA's nuclear power strategy?
Well, our strategy is, we believe in nuclear. We have one of the only nuclear reactors that has been newly operational in the last 20 years. It's TVA's. We are looking at small modular nuclear reactors. So we're a important non-funded federal agency, which means that we stand alone. We do not receive taxpayer revenue. Our money comes from our ratepayers and our customers and the local power company customers. Okay. So with that said, yes, we want affordable, reliable, clean energy. Nuclear is a huge part of that. It's just figuring out what does that mean. The timelines to do nuclear are very long and very expensive. Yeah. But yes, we are taking a very hard look at it. I know that's part of the president's plan, and part of our board strategy is to support nuclear, and we'll see where it goes. I'm all for it.
There are lots of projects that are commissioned already, right, in the country. Texas, in particular, has a number. Some are behind the meter, and some are part of the grid. My guess is, in some cases, those that are behind the meter may end up producing more than their direct associated end-user customer, and then sell that back and provide that back into the grid.
Yeah, and that's the exciting thing about this industry is whether it's large-scale data centers who are providing their own power, people who have solar panels at their house, or people who have traditional generation at their facility. It's tough as a utility. You need to know where that stuff is so you don't have it coming back on the line, and then we work and we buy the renewable energy or buy excess energy, and balancing all that. Thank goodness that's not my responsibility. But it's an interesting time to be in this industry. Yeah. And anybody out there at Ole Miss State, one of these universities who, good, smart kids, please come look and get into the utility business. We need you. It's a great opportunity. But balancing those opportunities is really exciting about what the future holds.
Totally. And certainly with respect to construction of a nuclear plant, that's often tens of thousands of jobs for a long period of time.
It's a lot of everything. Billions of dollars, a lot of jobs, a lot of time, a lot of regulation. Hopefully some of that's getting fast-tracked a little bit now, but the great news is the economy's growing. We are blessed in our area. We serve 7 states, Tennessee, a little bit of Kentucky, North Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, a little Virginia, North Carolina. That area is a really fast-growing area. Yeah. And so we see the positive that comes with that, but with growth there are some good problems that come with it, and we're facing those. Yeah. But we've got to make sure we have affordable energy for everybody for the future, and we're doing our best to do it.
I think you'll meet the challenge. David Sparks, Senior Sales Consultant with the Tennessee Valley Authority, has been our guest. Appreciate you coming on, David.
Thank you very much. Yeah. Just go to energyright.com and see what opportunities are out there, and give us a call, and we'll be glad to talk to people.
Sounds great. We're going to wrap things up today with Chase Wolverton, the president and CEO of Efficient Power and Light. That's where we are in Brandon, Mississippi.
Before you know what that means. Middays with Gerard Gibert.
We'll do it live
on SuperTalk, Mississippi.
It's finally Friday, I'm free again. I got my motor running for a wild weekend. It's finally Friday.
Welcome back, everyone. It's Middays, final segment on this Friday. We are at Efficient Power and Light in Brandon, Mississippi. We welcome back to the set the president and CEO of Efficient Power and Light. That would be Chase Wolverton, and also Brent Bailey, the vice president of Efficient Power and Light. All right, Chase, Brent, glad to have you guys back. It's been a great day. We've had great discussions with lots of folks that are fully supportive of your organization here and looking for big things for you guys to deliver to the state of Mississippi and beyond.
It's been a great day. We've had a lot of friends and guests here, and clients and people that we do business with day in, day out, some customers, and it's been a great day for us. And really just want to emphasize we want to get the word out to the public so people can take advantage of what's already existing and some great programs that are available to them.
Well, Chase, you mentioned customers that you're doing business with day in and day out. Brent, that means they must be pleased with the service.
Yes, sir. We're so glad to continue to grow that base as people learn. We hope today your listeners have come to understand and better appreciate the opportunities that are out there. Hope you've learned some things today with the list of folks that you've had on. I know it's been a general theme over this show today, but it's important as energy demand continues to grow, as we see economic development grow. We've got to have the resources in place, and energy efficiency is one of the quickest ways to help add capacity while at the same time helping customers save money.
Yeah, absolutely. And honestly, sort of indirectly, when we are more efficient users of electricity, we're also helping to keep costs down.
We are doing that. It goes in, we've heard it in several folks today, that all the above. We need a diversify of energy, and energy efficiency contributes to that. The energy you're not using adds to the grid, adds to the system, and it builds that capacity, that resiliency. What's needed to ensure that when new customers look at the state of Mississippi, they say, hey, they're doing a lot of different things there, and we're very confident about investing in that state. It's not just reliable, affordable, it's resilient, and it's available.
Chase, we've talked to representatives from both Entergy Mississippi and TVA. They are two of the major electricity providers, power providers in the state of Mississippi. I mean, they're fully supportive of your organization and the services that you're providing.
It is. We can't thank them enough for what they allow us to do for them and the service that we get to provide for their customers. They're really our customer, although we service all of the utilities customers. At the end of the day, the utilities are our customers. We partner with great people, people like Daikin, who make really high efficiency equipment that we have programs in the future that we're going to be able to roll that equipment out to people at a very affordable price to be able to get their bills down. So there's a lot of things coming up in the future that we're very excited about, but all of your public utilities, TVA, Entergy, Mississippi Power, were in representation today, and I can't thank them enough for coming by and shaking hands and being involved. It's something we really want to do again. I think it's something that's needed in the state, this affordability forum, to have a platform to talk about what's available to customers and really get that word out.
You got to be pleased with the turnout today, huh?
It's been great. I'd say we had 200 people here at one time, and way more than what we thought, and it's been a good day for sure.
Have an awesome facility. Have a great team. You guys are all dressed up, ready to go. Brent?
Yes, sir. We'd probably dressed up a little nicer than we normally are because.
But I don't usually look like this.
We stay active. We got to stay moving.
No, I understand.
Yeah.
Metaphorically speaking, of course, but it's good when you've got the community to come out and support you as well.
That is no doubt, and we're happy to be part of this community. We're looking to continue to grow here across the state. Already said that we get a lot of interest from other parts of the Mississippi outside of the central Mississippi area. So we want to continue to hear that. Folks call us at 601-360-8720. I don't know if we've even said that today, but that's how to get a hold of us and start having these conversations and understanding what's available, not just with Entergy and TVA, who is here today, but also in the Mississippi Power Service area, Atmos Service area, CenterPoint, now Delta Utilities. All these guys provide suites and services and portfolio programs that are available to folks, and it's just having those customers understand what's available to them, what's out there, and getting those lined up and putting them in place and helping them start saving money today.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
Yep.
So, Chase, is this an industry that's growing across the country? There's just a kind of a strong current interest in engaging with experts such as your company to help folks just be more efficient users of power.
Yeah, very much so. It's novel. I would say that the way that we're structured and the way we go about doing it is pretty unique. It's fairly niche, especially for a state like Mississippi.
Yeah.
People ask us who our competitors are all the time, and really as far as what we do and how we specialize it, there's not a lot of companies out there doing it, but there are more and more. And across the Southeast in particular, the money that's continuing to be spent on energy efficiency is only going to rise.
Yeah, no doubt. And so is demand.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which is a good thing. So you're helping both sides, honestly. You're helping the providers and you're helping the consumers.
I tell people all the time, we're in an industry where we get to have a win-win-win-win.
That's awesome.
And there are no losers.
Yeah.
So it's a good thing we get to show up and do every day.
Good stuff. Great way to wrap things up today. Chase Wolverton, the president and CEO of Efficient Power and Light, along with Brent Bailey, the vice president of Efficient Power and Light. Appreciate you guys for having us today. Congratulations. Thanks a lot.
Man, we can't say enough about having you guys and your team here. It's been a pleasure to work with your folks, and hope y'all have had a real comfortable time here in the cool, not in the heat.
Thank you, Brent.
You do, but,
we'll be back with
fun.
you on Monday. Have a great weekend, everyone. Stay safe, and God bless.
A SuperTalk Mississippi media production.